Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Study Time. So today we'll start with the poem Ozymandias, which is written by Percy Bysshe Shelley. This is going to be the full explanation along with literary devices and summary. See, let's start with the poem now. I met a traveler from an antique land. This is actually a sonnet, which is written in few lines. I met a traveler from an antique land. Ozymandias reads more like a story than a poem, although the line reminds the reader that this is not prose. The speaker in the poem tells the story from his point of view using the pronoun I. Here he talks about meeting a traveler. I met a traveler from an antique country. Greeks called Ramses. Ramses to a powerful Egyptian pharaoh, Ozymandias. So it is easy for the reader to recognize the antique land is Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations in the वर्ल्ड. तो यहाँ पर किसकी बात हो रही है? यहाँ पर बात हो रही है एक ग्रीक रूलर की, who is Ramses II, who is a powerful Egyptian pharaoh. Pharaoh means a ruler in ancient Egypt. Who said two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert, near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage face, means a face lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. तो यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली वो बता रहा है कि वहाँ पे दो legs हैं, the two vast and trunkless means without the upper body. Legs of stone stand in the desert, and near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage means a face lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. So these lines contain some of the most vivid and beautiful imagery. In these lines, the traveler describes a statue he saw in Egypt. Through the eyes of a traveler, the reader sees two massive legs carved from stone lying in the desert sand. Nearby, the face of the statue is half buried. The face is broken, but the traveler can still see the sculpture is wearing a frown and a sneer. Sneer का क्या मतलब होता है? Sneer is a facial expression, okay, of a scorner hostility in which the upper lip may be raised. It is given in your book also. And this sneer, and from this he is able to tell that this ruler probably had absolute power, and he is most definitely ruled with an iron fist. Ruled with an iron fist का मतलब होता है to rule a country, area, group, etc. in a very strict and often cruel way. Okay, so it is also easy to interpret that this ruler probably had a lot of pride or as the supreme leader of his civilization. तो ये सब चीजें उसके फेस पे जो एक्सप्रेशंस है उससे बताई जा सकती हैं. That its sculptor, well, those passions read means interpreted, which yet survives, stamped here means sculpted, on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. यहाँ पे mocked का मतलब है imitate करना या फिर copy करना. The traveler then turns his attention to the sculptor who made the statue. He comments that whomever the sculptor is, he knew his subject very well. The artist had exceptionally captured the passions of the ruler, though the pharaoh is long dead. वो बहुत पहले मर चुका है. He exists through the creation of a mere sculptor. लेकिन उसकी creation में उसे देखा जा सकता है. So who is more powerful in this case? Undoubtedly, it is the sculptor. He commented in line 7 that while there is an end to living beings, art is eternal. It survives. The gracious calves and the master's church live past the remnants of history. In the next line, the traveler provides interesting insight into the leader here. The hand that mocked them is the hand of the sculptor who created the frown, lip and sneer. I told you mocked here means imitate करना, to copy them. तो उसने same वही frown, वैसे ही उसके lips और वैसे ही sneer show किया है. That so strongly conveyed the passion of the ruler. They imitate that they are visible even with the statue itself being in pieces. Sneer means a facial expression or scorn or hostility in which the upper lip may be raised. Okay. Next is the heart that fed might be better understood as the heart that fed them. Okay, meaning the heart that fed those passions. It is the heart of the Ozymandias himself. So it is a use of synecdoche. Synecdoche क्या होता है? Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which you use a part of something to stand for the whole thing. Okay, so here it is a use of synecdoche and it is a literary device used here. And on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. पेडेस्टल का मतलब होता है ऑन द बेस, ऑन द बॉटम, उसके नीचे जो लिखा हुआ है उसके बारे में बता रहा है हमें. बाय नेम इज ओzymandias, किंग ऑफ किंग्स. लुक अपॉन माई वर्क्स, ये माइटी एंड डिसअपीयर, नथिंग बिसाइड. मतलब beside means else remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. Colossal means huge or great. The lone and level sands stretch far away. These lines give more details about the sculpture, and the later ones includes more words that have been etched into the ruler's pedestal. The etched means जो उसे carved किया गया है. Etched means to cut a pattern or a picture. तो उसकी कटिंग करके जो वहाँ पर लिखा गया है उसके बारे में यहाँ पर बात हो रही है. Pedestal, I told you, is a base or on the bottom you can say. The words carved on the pedestal on which the leader sits also tell of Ozymandias' personality. He is ordering those who see him to look upon all that he has created but do not appreciate what he has done. Instead, the speaker has to despair and be afraid of it. These words perfectly depict the leader's hubris. In the last 3 lines, Shelley implements irony to show that even though this broken statue remains, the leader's civilization does not. वो सब कुछ खत्म हो चुका है, सिर्फ उसका स्टैचू है. It has fallen, much like the statue, क्योंकि स्टैचू भी गिरकर टूट चुका है, उस तरह से वो civilization भी end हो चुकी है and has turned to dust. These lines are really powerful. The traveler almost seems to be mocking the ruler. Besides, Shelley's diction here is important. He uses words such as decay and bare to show just how powerless this once mighty pharaoh has become. तो कभी वो बहुत ज़्यादा पावरफुल था लेकिन आज उसके पास कोई पावर नहीं है. There is absolutely nothing left. The leader, much like his land and much like the broken statue depicting him, has fallen. So it is in these lines that the theme of the poem emerges. तो क्या थीम है इस पोएम की? All leaders will eventually pass. सबको एक दिन जाना है. Everything is going to finish and all great civilizations will eventually turn into dust. तो कितनी भी बड़ी civilization हो, eventually at the end it is going to turn into dust. Tone क्या है यहाँ पर इस poem की? The overall theme of Ozymandias is serious and awe-inspiring. The line "two vast and trunkless legs of stone" arouses both fear and pity. The size of the statue makes us wonder about the greatness and power of the ruler, yet they take pity on decaying depiction of the statue. In the next lines, the tone becomes more serious and fearful. He emotionally speaks about the inevitability of death, decay and death. Inevitability of death and decay. Inevitability का मतलब होता है the fact of being certain to happen and unable to be avoided or prevented. तो डेथ और डीके को कोई प्रिवेंट नहीं कर सकता. सो दिस इज द टोन ऑफ द पोम. Literary devices used here are, first of all, we can talk about metaphor. There is an extended metaphor used in the poem. The statue of Ozymandias metaphorically represents power, legacy, and command. It clarifies the meaning of the object and makes it clear that once the king was mighty and all-powerful. It also shows that the sand has eroded the actual shape of the statue, representing the destructive power of time. तो जो टाइम के अंदर एक बहुत बड़ी पावर होती है कि वो वक्त के साथ साथ सब कुछ खत्म होता चला जाता है. तो can easily see this. Personification. Shelley used personification, which means using human emotions for inanimate objects. He uses personification twice in the poem. The fifth line, and wrinkled up and sneer of cold command, refers to the broken head of the statue. However, the lifeless statue of Ozymandias is referred to as a real person, क्योंकि उसमें expressions को देखा जा सकता है. The second example is in the sixth line of the poem, where tell that its sculptor well those passions read, shows as if the statue is commanding the sculptor how to carve or express his emotions. Imagery है यहाँ पे. Imagery is used to make the reader feel things about through the five senses. The poet has used images involving a sense of sights, such as two vast trunkless legs, a shattered face, wrinkled lip, and desert. So these images help readers visualize the statues of the broken statue. Visualize the status of the broken statue. Alliteration है यहाँ पे. Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sounds in the same lines of the poetry, such as the use of C in cold command, the sound of B in boundless and bare, and sound of L in lone and level. Enjambment. The term enjambment refers to lines that end without any punctuation marks. इसका कोई punctuation marks नहीं होते अच्छे से. Shelley used enjambments in the second and the sixth lines of the poem, where it is stated, who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone. और next है आपका, tell that its sculptor well those passions read. Sixth is your assonance. Assonance क्या होता है? Is the repetition of the vowel sound in the same line, such as the sounds of A in stand and san, and the sound of E in well and red. Irony. Irony is a figure of speech used to present the opposite meanings of the words. Ozymandias' description presents him as a mighty, great, and fierce king, but in reality there is nothing but a broken, lifeless statue. So this is a irony here. Consonants. Consonants और assonance में देखिए, assonance में vowel use होता है, consonants में जो है consonant का sound आएगा आपको, such as S in half sung and a shattered visage lies whose frown. Synecdoche है आपका substitution of a part to stand for the whole or the whole to stand for a part. ये आपका use हुआ था the hand that mocked them. Now let's go through the summary also. In this poem, the speaker describes meeting a traveler from an antique land, that is Egypt. The title Ozymandias notifies the readers that this land is most probably Egypt, since Ozymandias was what the Greeks called Ramses II. He was a great and terrible pharaoh in ancient Egypt. The traveler tells a story to the speaker. In the story, he describes visiting Egypt. There he saw a large and intimidating statue of Ramses in the desert. He can tell that the sculptor must have known his subject well, because it is obvious from his statue's face that this man was a great leader, but one who could also be very vicious. Now what is the meaning of vicious? Vicious means violent or brutal. He describes his sneer as having a cold command. Sneer again is what? It's a facial expression of scorn or hostility in which the upper lip may be raised, according to your book. It can be a disagreeable person also, a person who is not pleasant. Okay, as having a cold command. Even though the leader was probably very great, it seems that the only thing that survives from his realm is this statue, which is half buried and somewhat falling apart. Hope you have understood. Thank you so much. If you like the video, kindly like, share and subscribe.